If you want to turn your attracted audience into paying customers, you need to present an offer that's going to get them the result they want, that's going to get them the transformation that they want, right? People always say they don't like sales, and I get it. But every day people buy stuff. We buy stuff all the time. So everybody wants to be sold. You only want to be sold on what you think is going to get you the result that you want. So if you want to turn your audience into clients or customers, you need to present an offer that's going to get them what they want. It's not just about making a sale. Hey, buy my thing. I got this thing for you. You need to help them understand that this is the thing that's going to get you what you want. Because people almost don't even care what it is that how they're going to get the result they want. They just want the result.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. So you got the business, you've been putting in the work, you're showing up online consistently, trying to get your name out there, but the clients still aren't coming the way that they should. And you've been told to post more, show more, talk more. But let's be honest, visibility alone is not cutting it. So in today's conversation, we are talking about how to build a digital presence that actually works. One that attracts the right audience, builds trust, and turns interest into income. Because for many of us as Black entrepreneurs, we've been taught to hustle and show up, but not necessarily how to strategically convert that attention into real results. And doing more won't help if you're not doing what truly moves the needle. That's why I'm so excited to be joined by Quintel Harcum. Quintel is the founder of Green Book Digital, where he helps service-based entrepreneurs and creators grow, convert, and monetize their audiences without relying on social media or paid advertising. With a background that spans across corporate America, branding, and entrepreneurship, including launching a plant-based juice bar that became the first Black-owned food partner at Johns Hopkins University. Quintel brings both strategy and real-world experience to the table. So in this episode, we're unpacking what it really means to digitally dominate, how to build a presence that people trust, and the systems that make it easier for people to say yes to what you offer. No matter what industry you're in, this is about learning how to take control of your digital space and make it work for you. So let's get into it. Quintel, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. Good to have you on the show, so welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I am excited to have you on the show and just to share your story, the work that you are doing. And also today's topic, we're really talking about digital domination and how Black entrepreneurs can attract and convert clients online. So before we get into that, if you could just share a little bit about you, your background, what is it that you do in your business and how did you get here?
Sure. Well, my name's Quintel Harcum. I founded Good Part and Company. It was a plant-based health cafe and juice bar located in Baltimore. And within 1 year, I became the first operations and marketing partner at Johns Hopkins University to set up my brand on their campus. And I excelled doing that. And from doing the marketing and everything there, I realized how it worked for my cafe. And I always got questions around branding and marketing. And so I was like, you know what, I should do more of this because I can be even more helpful to a lot of other business owners. And from there, I launched Green Book Digital, where I help entrepreneurs and creators grow and own and monetize more of their own audience so they can just achieve more creative and financial freedom. So that's where I'm at with it.
Love that. And one of the things I also like about your company is the fact that you help not only people convert, but you also help them do it without relying on social media paid ads. Why that strategy and why do you feel like it works?
Yes, thanks for saying that. So that's a big part of the owning and monetizing your audience, but without having to use paid ads or rely on social media, because social media doesn't really invest back in us the way we invest in it because it's built to keep you online all day. And running the ads a lot of times is complicated and expensive. Right? It's expensive if you're hiring an agency and you can't afford it, or it's expensive on your time if you have to learn. The learning curve is steep. Sometimes you really got to dig in to figure out how to run those ads. So it can be expensive, but also not effective because everybody's not a trained marketer, right? Or learn enough about marketing to actually get the returns they want on paid ads. And then with social media, they can change the algorithm, and that can just plummet your business if you was just building your business on the back of social media. So that's why I focus on owning your audience.
Mm, I love that. Owning your audience. The perfect segue into the first part of the conversation, which is really about that digital domination and why it really matters even more. So, Quintel, what does it mean to digitally dominate, especially because this is the Black to Business podcast, but especially as Black entrepreneurs?
To digitally dominate. So digital domination to me is not about like digital trends or dominating as far as follow account. It really means if you have an online business, a digital facing business, you need to secure digital real estate, right? That's your domains, your social media platforms. Those things matter. But digital domination is more about creating valuable content online so that it's accessible to people, and then kind of like amassing digital gravity. Like, so when you think about like space or like the earth and the sun or big planets, like the earth has a moon because the planet earth has enough gravitational pull to hold the moon in its orbit. And like the moons, like people are the moons, just like in your orbit. And so they just gonna rotate around you, and eventually they like you, they know you, they trust you, right? You hear about it all the time, and eventually they get close enough to make a purchase, right? They land on your
Mm-hmm.
surface, right? So they're in your gravitational pull, and that's what digital domination is about, and that's the space that Black entrepreneurs can always own. You can always own your own orbit. So that's how I think about it.
Perfect analogy. In space, the moon. I love that, how you brought that all together and made it plain. Starting off hot already. So, Quintel, how do you think the digital space changed the way that business attracts and converts clients?
The digital space allows us to attract clients now based on interest, based on taste, based on
Mm-hmm.
what they need, not just geography, right? And that's been that way since online been online. Like for me, I had a juice bar, so I can only make money based on my geographical location, right? I'm
Right.
tied to a brick and mortar. I'm tied to an actual city, and or I'm tied to an actual campus. So that's how it used to be. But now with the digital space, you can actually build a community, build a customer base just based on what you like and what they want, and what can be served, right? It makes transactions a lot easier because you can pay online, right? You don't need hard currency or cash, right? You can just pay with your card or input whatever you need. Even if you use crypto, you can pay that way on some platforms. And then what it does allow you to do, and this took me some time to realize, is that you can build trust kind of asynchronously. So like with a juice bar, you build trust. People, you come in and you see that the place is clean or it looks
Right.
fresh. They use fresh produce or whatever the case may be. But when you're in a digital space, you can show this content, right? You can display it, and now people can see what it's like without you having to be open for operation, right? You can see, you can go on the website, you can see what's going on over there. You can go on somebody's social media platform, you can see what's happening, and that's what the digital space allows us to do, so we can actually convert and attract more clients.
That's really good. And so for you, you talk about recognizing that and then also owning a juice bar and how I still understand the importance of online presence. For some people, so we have listeners who are from different business backgrounds, they might have a brick and
Mm-hmm.
mortar. And so they're thinking, whatever they offer, why do I need to focus online when my customers are right here? And why should I put all this effort into this? And I would love it if you could share why having that strong online presence is non negotiable for business.
Yeah, so having a strong online presence is non-negotiable. You can survive, you can excel, your business can win, you can make some money, right? Traditionally, service providers really relied on referrals because they too busy doing the service to actually market.
Mm-hmm.
But having a strong online presence is essential because one, it makes it easier for you to acquire new customers because you don't have to rely on referrals. They can just go online and see what you have going on, right? Another thing is it can help you build more lasting relationships. Like if you have their email, you can stay in contact and communication with them, and then you can attract new people who are looking for your service. So that's why it's non-negotiable. You need to have it. You need to be available. You need to be findable. And being online and having a good online presence makes a service-based business, more available. But also being online provides opportunities for you to grow your business in a different way. So if you're online and somebody with a way bigger bag than you, they see an opportunity for you. Like think about if you're a tailor or you're a real estate agent, somebody across the country might have money to invest in some properties that you're trying to list. But if you're not online, they're not going to find you. They're not in your market. So it presents opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have if you didn't have a strong online presence.
Well said. Well said. And speaking of growth and the clients, even in your experience, but also some of the clients that you work with, Quintel, what do you see as the biggest mistakes new entrepreneurs make when they are trying to grow online?
Oh man, these are all the mistakes that I made and that see, me and my friends talk about now. But a lot of times people try to do whatever they see working online, right? Instead
Yeah.
of what actually works for their business, right? So if you have I'll use my business again, for example. I had a brick and mortar food and beverage business. Restaurants thrive on TikTok because it's a very visual type of thing, right? You can see what they
Right.
got at the restaurant. You can see the customers talking about it. If you're into whatever food porn or I forget what they call it, the mukbang, like watching people eat food,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. But if you're not a chef, if your customers are not animated kind of people because you sell something that maybe more like fine dining, TikTok might not be your move because you're not really trying to get the audience that's on TikTok. 20-year-olds can't afford to eat in a fine dining establishment or, too many sit down establishments. They're doing a lot of carry out food. So it would make sense for you to do that if that's what your restaurant is set up for. So chasing, online trends is one of the things that people do off top, new
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs do when they start, right? They just think that's what's working. Also, they focus too much on getting more or finding new customers when I think we should focus more on like better service, better products, and better relationships because it's more effective in the long run to go deep than wide, right? It doesn't mean that you can't ever expand, but when you're new, you think about just more new, like you just want to get more and more customers in the door when you really can just double down and sell more product, more service to the people who are already your customers. So that's one
Yeah.
thing. That's another thing we overlook. And the last thing is we focus new when you're new in entrepreneurship, you try to focus on what's fast and easy, right? Unless you kind of have a certain personality type, is you just in it for the long haul. You try to figure out like what's fast, what's easy. Oh, I can buy this, I can get the supply cheaper, right? So it's faster or it's easy. I can just buy the stuff from over here as opposed to going across town to get it or getting it from a different online supplier, and it kind of compromise the integrity of your business and your brand. So you got to remember that trends and all those types of things change, but the internet ain't going nowhere. The internet ain't going nowhere. So you could take a longer view. Everything doesn't have to be fast and easy.
Yeah, I was over here like yes, yes to all those things, and especially the new customers versus focusing on those who you have because it's like so easy to get that shiny object syndrome. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
and the others. And so this is of course the Black to Business podcast, and we want to talk about one of the things that I love that you mentioned earlier is about the ownership. How does this digital domination help Black owned businesses build that wealth, build that independence?
I think digital domination or moving in the digital space can help the black owned businesses gain independence because it allows you to grow your audience based on exactly whatever it is you said you're going to do. So if you're thinking like if you're online and you're actually showing what it is that you do, you're showing your skills, right? So one, digital domination, like because it's not just about like marketing and promotion. It's like how are you using the digital space, and that could be through online education. So you go learn some stuff and you stack skills, and then you apply that back to your business, and now more of your customers can see what you do. That's going to help you build wealth. If you convert those customers to some kind of community or email list or something like that, now you own that audience, and then you can continue to over deliver to that audience. And so, you ever heard of the book? No, it's not a book; it's an essay from 1,000 True Fans from Kevin Kelly. You ever heard about that before?
No, I haven't.
It's kind of just like the theory that you only need 1,000 true fans to make a living in your business, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can sell something for roughly $10 every month to that 1,000 true fans. Think of an independent recording artist, right?
Right.
Some people that's not super popular, they don't have big crazy contracts, but they doing well. They out here, they on tour, right? They got 1,000 true fans. People gonna show up for them wherever they go tour at, all across the country, overseas. Some of our favorite like Erica Badu, she don't drop an album all the time, but her business
Yeah.
always gonna thrive because she can always go tour, right?
Right.
She has 1,000 true fans. So that's how it can really help black businesses thrive and be independent, right? Digitally, you can just present whatever it is you have, get your 1,000 true fans, you keep over delivering to that 1,000 true fans, stay connected with them online and then in person if you can, and you on your way. That's what I think.
I think that's really good. Yeah. So I love that. And I now want to transition into attracting those clients that you want. And also, how do you stand out online? So, what are some of those key ways or elements of, you would say, that attention grabbing digital presence?
Man, it's that's just grabbing attention online is necessary. But
Mm-hmm.
it depends on where you're showing up and how you're showing up. Because when people are online, they want a few things, but it all boils down to they either want to be entertained, they want to learn something, or they want access to something in an easier way. So if you want to grab attention, you have to do one or some combination of those three things really well. And then be consistent, right? It's not about jumping out there doing the most outlandish thing. That's going to grab attention, but are you going to keep that attention? That's what you really want
Mm-hmm.
when you have an online business. But to keep it simple, you either want to entertain people, educate them, or help them understand something better. Right? Education sounds boring, so you help them understand something better, and you help them access something in an easier way.
Mm-hmm. And what about the element of storytelling? So, how can that branding and storytelling help you attract your ideal clients? Because I know a lot of people, they miss this part. And so, I would love it if you could share how this helps.
Man, tell me about it. They
Yeah.
definitely missed this part. This is my jam because this is where I came in the game at, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of by mistake, but branding was. So I'm gonna just take it back. Like I feel like my mom and dad had good taste, so
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't like rich, but they had like good taste. So I had a
Mm-hmm.
good understanding of the difference between products and the difference between stores and the difference between salesmen and stuff like that. So I was already connecting what brand was just like intuitively, and it's everything you do is brand, and it's very difficult to understand sometimes because it's not tangible, right? But branding is everything you do, and it contributes to everything your business does, and then how the audience or how customers or how the public sees you. So you have to be mindful of that. So all of those things add up: the colors, the language, the relationships, the affiliations, and so. But even the things people can't see. So I like to call it like the V5, where you have you have your values, you have your vision, you have the visuals, like what people actually see. Then you have the actual voice, like how the brand is presented, how you telling your story, like what kind of person you are. And then you have validation, like that's in the market. People are saying, I like what you got going on. That's when you know you're effective at branding, right? And then how branding and storytelling tie together, that you always tell stories. Like people love to hear stories. Like some of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest people online, or some of the biggest businesses, period, are based on simple, relatable stories because that is the like number one way people communicate and people relate to one another, right? They tell stories. So everything we do is a part of the brand, and every day we're telling ourselves a story about ourselves, what's going on in our lives, and every day somebody's business is trying to become a part of your daily story, right? That's basically what ads are. So that's what that's about.
That's so good. Also, what are some ways that you can differentiate yourself online? Because there's a lot of noise online and a lot of people are doing some of the same things, but how do we make ourselves different?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of noise online. I think the best way to differentiate yourself from all the other things is really to find the people who are into what you're into. So focus more on who matters to your business, not just what matters in the business, right? So that because they're always going to be like core customers for a business or power users for a business. Like you probably have like your favorite app or your favorite brand. There's always going to be like brand loyalists. So just focus on them. Like think about some of the stuff that like a popular TV show. There are people who watch that show only because their friend told them about it, but you don't need to
Mm-hmm.
focus on marketing to that friend or the people that are in that sphere of influence. You need to focus on a person that's as close as to the middle of that circle or sphere of influence as possible. Focus on who matters to your business, and then keep getting better for those people because they'll go and they'll do all of the spreading and differentiating for you online that you need. So stay consistent in being who you are and what your business is about and your brand. But the the market is crowded, right? So instead of just copying people, focus on who matters, and then they will go and tell everybody why you're different. Like, yo, this clothing line is better. Working with this person, this masseuse is better because they had the better music, they had the better vibes going on in their place, right? You don't have to go tell anybody that. The people who come and do business with you, they'll tell everybody for you.
That is so good. It's like do right by the people that are there. Okay, Quintel, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Somebody's listening. They're like, I don't have the patience. I need these sales today. So I need to go find
Yeah.
these other people. I don't have the patience to wait on someone to tell somebody else to tell somebody else. What would you say to that person?
Listen, you're either gonna pay with money or you're gonna pay with time.
Mm,
So if you need to make that flip now, then you're gonna have to accelerate the process with a couple dollars. And then that
mm,
couple dollars is either that's when you're gonna have to like use ads or something like that. Because those ads are gonna get you closer to that center of the sphere that I was talking about. Right. Instead of you don't have time to go find those people. Those people are already somewhere. So you can just pay to go be in that space, and or you can just go find that space. Or you can do what a lot of people don't do, which is go on your phone and figure out who on your phone need what, or
mm-hmm.
who on your phone is close to it. Right. Sometimes we have resources that we overlook, so you may not have to pay for it, but you just got to do a little thinking. But I understand that, man. We need to make money now. We need to bills don't stop, right? So you got to pay for your life. You got to pay for your business by the end of the month. So you might have to pay a little extra to go and find those people to separate yourself from the crowd.
Yes. And speaking of a little extra, I would love it if you could share some of those low cost or organic marketing strategies that do work for attracting the right people. So you mentioned going to your phone. Any other
Hmm.
ways?
Yeah. So like I said, you're gonna pay with time or money. So if you're not trying to pay with money, you're gonna spend more time. So you have to spend time like on organic strategy. So cold outreach can be free. Like you literally just got to do cold outreach. That's to reach out to people. Like I'm not bigger than that. I do it now to get the right people. The good thing about cold outreach is you can pick exactly who you're going to be talking to. Right? They may not respond, but you get to pick who the audience is. Right? When you start paying for it, you have to pay for some algorithm or something like that. So one low cost way is cold outreach. As far as organic marketing strategies, search engine optimization, right? SEO, that's still helpful. It's changing with AI now because people search through AI, but there are different ways that you can actually make sure you rank in the AI. Like if you ask AI a question that your business or something that you said or some of your content comes up, right? So engine optimization, and then video of you doing the thing that you do. That is a low cost, that's an organic way. It doesn't, everybody has a phone. The camera feature on your phone is free. Uploading to YouTube is free. Or you could pay for extra features and this and that, but you don't have to pay to upload to TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. Just a video, that take a little bit of time. Everybody doesn't like being on video. I get that. I'm understanding of that, but it is organic and it does attract people because again, it's displaying the story of you doing the thing, and people like stories. You just got to be willing to like shake off whatever feelings you have around being on camera or something like that. But uh, that is really helpful. And then another organic way is to show up again where the people are. So online groups are really helpful. Uh, it seems a little weird, like almost like online dating when it first started. Like I don't know those people, I don't want to go over there. But really, they're over there for a reason. So you can
Mm-hmm.
go over there and mix it up with them and just talk and share and exchange. Man, online groups are deep. Everybody has interest and they really relate a lot, right? Because once you share one common interest, you typically have other similar tastes, and so online groups can be really helpful, and it doesn't cost anything but clicking of a button in a few minutes every day to see what's happening in that group.
Yeah, I certainly agree. People always are like, "Where are you at on these social profiles?" I'm like, "I'm on Facebook because Facebook is where the groups are." But the groups really give value.
Hmm.
And so I love that. And so Quintel, now that we have talked about the attraction of the clients, I want to talk about once you attract an audience, how do you turn them into actual paying clients?
So this part sounds like you're asking like how do you make money from them, right? But I don't
Mm-hmm.
think about it that way. I always thinking about if you want to turn your attractive audience into paying customers, you need to present an offer that's going to get them the result they want, that's going to get them the transformation that they want, right? People always say they don't like sales, and I get it. But every day people buy stuff. We buy stuff all the time. So everybody wants to be sold. You only want to be sold on what you think is going to get you the result that you want. So if you want to turn your audience into clients or customers, you need to present an offer that's going to get them what they want. It's not just about making a sale. Hey, buy my thing. I got this thing for you. You need to help them understand that this is the thing that's going to get you what you want. Because people almost don't even care what it is that how they're going to get the result they want. They just want the result. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how you go about. That's the mindset, the psychology behind it. And then there's a lot of different other, I guess, tools and strategies and tactics and stuff you can use to convert them. But the idea behind it is offering them the result that they want. That's the space we got to come from, man. We got to offer value, provide a service, and be helpful to people.
I certainly agree with that. And we are talking about the digital space, and I would love if you could talk about how the role of lead magnets, email lists, and also other digital assets play into that conversion factor.
Yeah, so the lead magnet part for in the digital space is a big deal because that's like the first. That's like a quick, immediate result. It may not be immediate, like 5-10 minutes, right? It may be a dense lead magnet, like a white paper. Like white papers might be 20, 30, 40 pages long, but it has so much information that you may find relevant, to your business. So you need lead magnets because one, it shows that it's like the law of reciprocation, right? I do something for you, and you're more likely to do something for me in an order of magnitude greater than what I already did for you. So if I do a favor for you, you might do a bigger favor for me, basically, right? So that's what
Mm-hmm.
lead magnets are, and that bigger favor may be becoming a part of my community, joining my list, but paying me for my service or something like that. But lead magnets really are to offer value, and it's not just a cheap, cheesy way to get somebody's email. Like it is an actual helpful way. People want the information; they just need to have the information in a digestible way, and lead magnets can really help that. And that's why I get such quick results with people. And
Yeah.
then with email, you need to nurture the people who are on your email list because they make if they have a lead magnet, they have the lead magnet typically solves one smaller problem. They typically have a bigger problem, and through email, you can help people better understand how you can help them solve that bigger problem. You can make it clear that you got the answers that they need. And I love email because nowadays it's way more dynamic. You can add pictures and links and photos and all types of things in the email, and it's easier to use that way, either on your phone or desktop or whatever. It's just like it's friendly across all the platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter where people are, they can get into it.
Yes, I certainly agree. And one of the things that you mentioned that really stood out to me is that fact of actually nurturing these audience. So, how do you advise people to, okay, you got them on the list, you got them in your world, nurture them to build that trust and credibility?
Well, that goes back to the storytelling part, right? So if you have people on your list, it depends on what your business is, but I think all businesses benefit from storytelling. Now, I'm going to talk about this from a couple of different types of business. So if you have a product business, so when you use email, you typically think of it like Target or Nike. They just keep sending you ads, right? Everything is about this. We got this on sale, or these are the new shoes, and that makes people feel like email is not preference. But email marketing converts between 35 to 45% better than all other online marketing, depending on where you're doing your research, right? So you nurture by being consistent for one, continue to connect and build that relationship, but you tell stories about your product, about your service, about your client success or your customer wins, or how people are benefiting from whatever it is that you offer through email. And don't always have something to sell. Just build a relationship, tell a story. You got people are in their email. People think everybody looks at it like it's a distraction. It is. But sometimes you want a good distraction. So you can go in your email and find something good to read about. It could just be a
Yeah.
picture. You can find a funny meme in your email. Like, yeah, you'll see it on social media. But if you're on my email list, I probably already know your taste. So I might have a better sense of humor. I might be talking about the same show that you watched last night. I might be working with somebody who has the same problem that you have, and that person was willing to give me a quick soundbite, and I can put it in the email. Now you're like, you know what? That's exactly what I needed to do. I can go to Home Depot. That's the screw I was looking for, and you wouldn't know that if you didn't, read the email or engage with that kind of content. So that's how you can build better trust and credibility through email.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate a good email because it's like sometimes even if somebody sends like this long detailed email, I always a bookmark it and I oftentimes almost always come back to that email. I'm like, let me search that and I'm gonna read a good story. So yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And so Quintel, speaking of the selling, what are some of those common mistakes that cause people to actually lose potential sales online?
Oh, straight up, people make it too hard to buy. If somebody is
Mm.
interested in what you want, do not make it complicated. This is why I like email, because you can put a button right in the email, click here to buy. Like it's
Yeah,
super
yeah.
easy. But a lot of times it's like if somebody's ready to buy, that's the benefit of having just like a product brand, because typically with products it's like, all right, you click here, you do shipping and it's easy. But with services, sometimes it can be a bit complicated because just the dynamics seem difficult, but it's not as complicated now with all the technology we have. But and why that happens is Amazon changed the game with one click purchase. Right, Steve,
Mm-hmm.
not Steve Jobs, but Jeff Bezos was like, we got to figure out how to make this as easy as possible for people to buy. You don't have to be Amazon, but you can keep getting better and keep getting closer. So make it easy for people to buy, and don't make the sales process complicated at all. Like when I used to do my juice cleanses, every time we dropped juice cleanses, it was difficult to understand. Like, oh, what's in the 3-day package? What's in the 5-day package? Well, now I just put all the information online. You're gonna get it at this time. You place your order by this time. Most of the time we skim. We don't really read things in detail.
Yeah.
So you make mistakes by, like, if you ever see like a really bad spammy type of email and it caught your attention, think about why it caught your attention. It's because they know how to communicate format wise. So they know to make italic words here, bold letters here. Those seem like small things, but when you overlook that in your communications, like especially digital communications, it makes it harder for people to understand, or less. It's not as easy for people to understand. So you want to use all of those little things, use buttons, use bold letters, things like that. Those are a lot of small mistakes that people overlook when it comes to online sales and why they lose sales. Just make it easy to understand. Write in plain language. Like, you got to think of the lowest common denominator. Most people don't have high level education. Just because you went to college don't mean everybody you talking to went to college. Just because you feel
Mm-hmm.
like you're a sophisticated entrepreneur doesn't mean everybody else is a sophisticated entrepreneur. You got to speak at a level that everybody can understand enough so that they can, invest in what you have going on.
Now that is great advice. And so, what do you think are some of the tools or systems that really can help automate and improve this conversion process for people?
Well, I don't get paid by any of them, but so but I will say this though. I'll share what I think. You have to think about what kind of products you sell. So it's always a bunch of new tools and new apps and new software. Like every day is literally something new. It's not about the tool that you use. It's about the context you provide and how easy you can make it for the end user. So I would always say use the tool that makes it easier for your customer, even if it's not as easy for you. And the reason why I say that is because if you can get more customers into your service or into your business, right, that means you got more money. And then you can spend that money figuring out how to make it easy for you, or you can just delegate that task to somebody else and it'll be well worth your while. So there are a lot of tools, but you have to really think about the tool that makes it easiest for your customer. So if you're selling products, you probably need to be on Shopify because they make it ridiculously easy for you to sell products online, right? If you are doing a bunch of online meetings, then you probably need to have Calendly, you need to have Zoom, you need to have some kind of platform that makes it easy for you to connect and talk to people online. So whatever your service is, think about how the person that you're serving is going to be using it. Make it easy for them. Those are, it's a lot of different tools. So I can't really go through all of them, but yeah, think about
Yeah.
who's using it. How can you make it easy for them?
Oh my, this has been so good. We've gone through so much in the last like less than thirty minutes. And I just now want to shift into some of the things that you are working on and how people can work with you. So, first, what is the first step you would say an entrepreneur should take today to improve their digital strategy?
The first step an entrepreneur should take today to improve their digital strategy is to figure out exactly who they're trying to help, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
may not be one specific person. It's easier when it's one person, but figure out who you're trying to help. Because if you know who you can help, you can think about, they call it like a customer avatar, or ICP, right? The ideal customer or client profile. So now you kind of in this person's mind, you know what their story is about, right? Going back to the brand and storytelling, you know what their story is about. You can get it down to the point where you know about what time this person wakes up, right? And you think about how you can help them throughout their day with your product, because you'll know exactly where your product inserts or your service inserts into their day. So if you are if you're again if you're a real estate agent, and I'm gonna cover multiple businesses to help your audience. If you're doing a service, when does that person need your service? Like it's like a trigger event. You know, I feel tense. I need a massage, right? Or you're a young lady, and it's like I want to go out. I need to have my nails done. I need to have my hair done. When do people mostly go out? On the weekend. That's when you need to be in their face with your service.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a product, people eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, I sell steak. People normally eat steak at dinner time. I need to have my promotions going prior to dinner time so they can be thinking about me around 5 to 6 o'clock so they can eat with me, so they can dine at my establishment, right? So you want to think about who you're servicing with your digital strategy first. I think that's the most helpful thing.
Yes, that is very, very helpful. And Quintel, can you now talk about some of your expertise and services that can help entrepreneurs in this process with attracting and converting more clients?
So like the example I just gave is how I help first, like with digital strategy, by
Mm-hmm.
streamlining the processes that serve your actual audience, right? And then for the business, I help businesses grow and own their audience, but we got to figure out exactly who the audience is. So I help them figure out who the audience is, and then we get to nailing down how it is we're going to communicate with that audience. So I do a lot of copywriting and kind of designing what the communication system is going to look like. Some people want to use video, some people want to use images, and some people want to use design. I'm gonna figure out which all of those things make the most sense. I have more experience on writing, some design, but more writing and just figuring out exactly who that audience is and what's the system of communication that we're going to have to get to them so that they can invest in your business, you can build better relationships, and get to your 1,000 true fans.
Yes, that is so good. And what's the process like for working with you? Is it they go on the website? How do they do it?
Yeah, so they just joined my newsletter. So you go to stringerquell at .beehive.com. So Stringer Quell was like a reference to the wire, right? Stringer Bell from the wire. So
Mm-hmm.
Quell is Quell .beehive. So Beehive is a newsletter platform. It's spelled BEEHIIV. But stringerquell.beehive, and that's where you can find me. You just subscribe, and in the newsletter, I'll present offers to help you get what it is that you need based on what skills and services that I can provide. So I don't really just sell things like right off my website.
Mm-hmm.
I just make myself available for what the offer is, what I have, which is typically around email marketing,
Mm-hmm.
digital strategy, and some AI automations that really help businesses get what they want. So just join the newsletter, and that's where I'm at.
Awesome. And we'll definitely put those in the show notes. And
Thank you.
Quintel, yeah, you're welcome. What do you think is the benefit, or what have you seen to be the benefit of getting that help versus trying to figure it out on your own?
Speed,
Yeah.
straight up. Yeah, the benefit of getting help is speed. Success loves speed. It's okay to figure out how to do things on your own because you do need to have a level of proficiency so that you can execute if you need to and nobody's around to help, but also so that you can evaluate the people who are doing the work for you. Like if you have employees or you contracting out, you need to know how to assess if they're doing it right or wrong or whatever the case may be. So, but paying for help, like I've never been too big to ask people for help. And if I have the funds to pay, I'm going to pay. I pay for all types of online courses, all types of online resources. I have a ridiculous log of like lead magnets from other people. I paid for coaching multiple times. Matter of fact, that's how I started my juice bar. Like I knew I ran it in my apartment, like literally invite people to my apartment to drink juice and buy
Mm-hmm.
t-shirts and talk, right?
Wow.
But shout out to Start a Juice Bar. They was already making content online. I was like, well, they done built two juice bars already. They got all the layouts. I'm gonna just pay him. So that's what I did. I like, yo, I need some help. And he was like, okay, what you need help with? I told him, and he gave me a free consultation. And I was like, yeah, if I get a couple dollars, I'm definitely paying him. One, he knew what he was doing. Two, he did a favor for me, and I paid him thousands of dollars on return. So that's the biggest benefit, man. A path of paying for help. You get speed, and you make fewer mistakes. And the fewer mistakes you make, that means you get to keep more money in your pocket. When you keep more money in your pocket, you can live more of the lifestyle that you desire to live.
Yes, I certainly agree. And I am definitely with you for the paying. That's how I had my first business coach. She gave me a phenomenal first free consultation. I was like, when I get these funds, first thing first, I'm hiring you. And I did.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. That is so good. And so, being in business, I would love it if you could share any advice that you have for somebody who's maybe in their first year of business.
Uh, if you're in your first year of business, it is it's going to be it's going to be tough, but I think that it's always worth it. But I think in the first year of business, all right, here's what I think about that. If you are an entrepreneur in your first year of business, you can't help but think about trying to make your product better because you feel like that's where your strength is. But when you want to make money and cash flow, more experienced business owners think about distribution. How easy can you get your service and product to the people or get the people to you? And so that's why I actually opened the juice bar. Like I was selling juice out of my house. I could have sold juice online for as long as I wanted to from my apartment. But I need to sell more juice if I want to actually make money and be profitable. So I need to get them where I'm at. And I need more space, right? So you want to think about like distribution. Yeah, you want to have a good product, but you can get your product to 80%. Don't think about being a perfectionist in the first year. Make it good for sure. Get feedback fast. Keep making it better. That's what you do in the first year. I had a customer come in and he was like, "Yo, this smoothie bowl is not as good as this the number one player in the market." And I was like, "Thanks for telling me that. What do you think? I mean, why?" And he was like, "Well, it's just a little too soupy." And I ain't take it personal. I was like, "Thanks." When I
Mm-hmm.
closed shop, I drove straight to that juice bar, bought that joint, turned the bowl upside down, and looked and took it apart, reverse engineered. I was like,
Wow.
"I see what he's talking about."
Mm-hmm.
And because I believe in owning my audience, I went and I had that guy's text. I had his phone number and his email. I ain't waste no time emailing him. I text the homie. I like, yo, this was like probably a week and a half later. I text him. I said, hey, thanks for the feedback on the smoothie bowl. I got one for you. I improved the recipe. I got one for you on the house. He came through, picked up a smoothie bowl, and came back after lunch and bought a second one. And it's like, yeah,
Wow.
that's where it's at. And so you just need to get fast feedback in your first year. Keep making things better, but don't worry about making it 100%. Like, try to get it to 80%, get it out the door, and the people are gonna love you for it, right? Because if you got room for improvement, and you make that improvement, your people are gonna love you because they know that you committed to making their lives better with your product or your service.
And that is solid advice. Quintel, looking back, what is the best risk that you've taken?
Uh, the best risk that I've taken was I mean, just starting a business, like actually investing in a business. So I'll tell you the best risk I've taken. I think the best risk I've taken was going to Lincoln University, the
Mm-hmm.
HBCU. And I'm gonna tell you why. I ain't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about Lincoln, nothing. I never heard of it, but
Mm.
I heard it was a black school and they was
Yeah.
giving me a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was like, "We're gonna roll with this scholarship because I don't really know a lot about the college process and administration, and we ain't got a whole lot of money, Quintel, so you can't go to your number one school." So I'm like, you know what, ma, we rolling. So I went to Lincoln. None of my friends from high school was there. I ain't know anybody. No, I knew one person. I knew one person, Tierra. I knew one person. Now, the reason why I say that was the best risk is because I believe as a young man that I could go there with no friends and still succeed. And that gave me all the confidence in the world I needed to ultimately become an entrepreneur because
Mm-hmm.
I would not have known that I could go and basically start life, from scratch. Like I'm in a totally unfamiliar place. I'm around a bunch of cornfields, mushroom farms, the KKK not too far away,
Yeah.
but it's a totally unfamiliar place. I had to sleep in a room with an absolute stranger. Like it's all new, and
Mm-hmm.
just betting on that Lincoln was going to take care of me, that I was going to be safe, that I was going to be okay there. I made some money there. I got education there. I made some friends
Yeah.
there. So I think that was the biggest risk. Like I didn't chicken out. Like not saying that going to like I'm in Baltimore, so Morgan is the biggest school in the city. University of Maryland, that's the biggest school. That's where I planned on going. And I went to orientation at University of Maryland. I had a student ID and everything. But when
Wow.
that financial aid came through, Lincoln gave me
Mm-hmm.
more money.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, taking that risk to say, okay, I'm not gonna kill my dreams and just like go to Morgan because it was easy, it's affordable. I'm gonna go to Lincoln. I'm gonna believe that I can make this happen. That was the biggest risk I took, and accepting that scholarship and going to college, away from home.
Ah, that is such a good story. It's so motivating and inspiring.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And my final question is, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Oh man, to be black in business is really it's a privilege. It's also a responsibility though, because like I had a business mentor and he's doing great, and he said, yo, he was like, Q, now he from Baltimore like me, and he's like me on 10. He moving fast and he bout it. Like and that's why I appreciate him, right? He was like, Q, you not the you beat you the possibility, not the probability,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not probable. It's possible to start a business, but it's not. No, how do they say it? Whatever. You're the probability, not the possibility. It's possible for anybody to start a business, but it's not probable that they actually gonna get it done. And he was like, "Yo, you got it done. So don't you're gonna take some You're gonna take some L's, but you actually got it done. And not only that, you got it done in food and beverage for more than 1 year. So every time you succeed, the probability of somebody doing what you did is less and less. You moving into a higher and higher stratosphere as a black man, as a person in business. And I was like, I never thought about, he's a more seasoned entrepreneur than I am, and he was in food and beverage, and he had other businesses. So that's what being black in business was like to me. Like I enjoy entrepreneurship. Like I just get excited about the idea of business, period, because to me, business is a spiritual activity, right? And wealth is a result of spiritual activity, right? Because you create something from nothing. You think about spirit
Yeah.
is intangible. You can catch the Holy Ghost anywhere. that like
Yes.
that's real, right? And you can
Yes.
create business anywhere. I can have a business here that can I can have it in Abu Dhabi. I can have it in Africa. I can have it in New Zealand, especially when we got online, right? That's not a tangible thing. That's a spiritual thing. So that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
such a privilege to be engaged in something that's that impactful. I put my dollar with my man dollar, and then we can go make $10 off that too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's really that's a big thing. So I appreciate that, but it's also a responsibility because you have to pay people. You have to pay people on time. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your integrity. You paying other people's paycheck, right? They need you for healthcare.
Right.
They got kids. They got bills. So it's a responsibility. Like being black in business means you taking care of your people, and your people may not just be black people, but you
Mm-hmm.
got to take care of those people. But also you putting on for the rest of the black people who may want to either start a business, who may need to grow their business. Listen, the better all of us do being black in business, the better everybody else. Prime example, and I'm gonna shut up because I told you I get hyped.
I get it.
When Bob Johnson sold BET,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people was upset. I won't say everybody. A lot of people was upset. I didn't know how I felt because at the time I was big in the BET, but it had started to go downhill because like all they played was videos all day long, right? This was like when I was in college at Lincoln.
Yeah.
But Bob Johnson made the most black millionaires ever. If he did not sell BET, there would not have been so many more black millionaires. Now think about how many more lives those black men, because basically everybody that started out at BET had shares in the business. So they sold for how many billion? That means all those people get a few $1,000,000. Now all of their kids are straight, and all of them people have ideas that they can unlock because they got the finances to make those moves because they caught that windfall from BET. We need that. That's what being black in business is about. So shout out to Bob Johnson. We need that. His wife, his ex-wife, she part of 3 Washington sports franchises.
Mm-hmm.
We need that bill. We need that billion from my man Bob
Right.
Johnson. Oh, we not making those kinds of moves. So that's what being black in business is about. Like you can make a lot happen for a lot of people when you're doing business in a good way for the community. So yeah.
Yes, that is a word in perspective. So thank you for being so passionate and then also like enlightening people on this is how it looked and this is why it makes sense. And just encouraging and motivating. It is hard, it can be hard,
Mm-hmm.
but what we do definitely matters. Quintel, how can people stay connected with you, find you, and continue to support you?
So you can find me, join the newsletter. It is stringerquell.beehive.com. Okay. And you can just subscribe to the newsletter at stringerquell.beehive.com. There's only one stringer quell in the world. So if you just Google stringer quell, I'm going to pop up. Subscribe to the newsletter. I'm always sharing all the different projects that I'm working on. And the purpose of my newsletter is to share stories, ideas, and for underdog entrepreneurs, right? So it's either tips and stories about what I have going on or what somebody like Bob Johnson has done or is doing. And then I also have a YouTube channel. So if you just look up Stringer Quell at YouTube, I'll be there too. You can always find me online there. I go back and forth on different social media platforms based on what I'm trying to get done or what I'm learning and growing. But you can always find me at the newsletter stringerquell.beehive.com.
Perfect. Quintel, thank you so much for the work that you are doing and also
Thank
for pouring into our audience and being on the Black to Business podcast. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And that is a wrap for today's episode. What an amazing and insightful conversation with Quintel about what it really takes to build a digital presence that doesn't just look good, but actually gets results. So whether you're in year 1 or you're in year 5 of your business, today's conversations was packed with the kind of strategy that helps you move beyond just being seen to consistently landing clients. So here are a few takeaways from today's discussion because there were so many. I picked 3. 1, digital domination starts with clarity. Knowing who you serve and creating content and systems that speak directly to them is key. 2, your brand is more than visual. It's values, voices, and experiences that build trust and keep people coming back. And the 3rd key point is a clear, simple path to purchase makes all the difference. Confused browsers don't become buyers. So for more information and the resources mentioned and to learn more about Quintel, head over to blacktobusiness.com/246. Thank you so much for being a part of the Black to Business family. Your growth, your vision, and your dedication to showing up with purpose is what keeps this community moving forward. I cannot wait to see you back here next week. But until then, keep building boldly and keep pushing the culture forward. Later.